The golden chandeliers shimmered above the marble hall of the Oberoi Grand, their crystal lights scattering across the silk, draped tables and the faces of guests dressed in designer perfection. Laughter, clinking glasses, and the rhythm of an elegant string quartet filled the air. The wedding of the year had begun. It was Priya Mehta's wedding day. Outside, in the cold November evening, a man stood at the servants' entrance, buttoning up a faded black waistcoat. His hair, streaked with gray, was neatly combed, and though his shoes were polished to a dull shine, they were clearly worn. His name was Rajiv Mehta. No one would have guessed that this man, now carrying a tray of champagne flutes, was once a visionary entrepreneur who had graced business magazines, whose company had once been valued in millions, but after a brutal betrayal by his partner and a collapse of his business empire, Rajiv had lost everything: his home, his fortune, and, most painfully, the respect of those he loved most. He had not come to serve tonight by accident. The catering manager, a kind man from his past, had offered him this small job when he heard Rajiv wanted to attend his daughter's wedding. It was humiliating, yes, but it was the only way Rajiv could be close enough to see her smile again. As he walked through the glittering hall, balancing the tray, Rajiv's eyes found her Priya his only child. She looked radiant in her red and gold bridal attire, the jewels glittering on her neck, her face glowing with joy. His heart swelled and ached all at once. She hadn't invited him, not after everything. He had received the invitation through a friend, a card not addressed to Rajiv Mehta, but to the family of late Mrs. Mehta. It had been a silent message. He was not part of her world any more. Still, he could not resist seeing her one last time. Across the room stood Rohan Malhotra. The groom, tall, polished, the heir to one of Mumbai's largest real estate empires. His family's wealth was old and deep, his arrogance even deeper. He was surrounded by friends boasting about their cars, their investments, their luxury villas. Rajiv moved among them, silent as a shadow, serving their glasses unnoticed, careful with the champagne servant. One of the guests snickered when Rajiv passed. He smiled politely. He had heard worse. It wasn't the insult that hurt him. It was how natural it felt to be invisible. When the speeches began, Rohan took the microphone, flashing his perfect smile to the crowd. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, "tonight I marry the most beautiful woman in the world, Priya. She's my everything, and together we're not just uniting two hearts, but two great families." A laughter and applause echoed. Rohan turned dramatically toward Priya, who smiled nervously. "And of course," he continued, "we have everyone who matters here. Business partners, friends, family." He paused, scanning the room, his eyes catching Rajiv near the corner, holding a tray. A sly smirk curved his lips. "Oh, and even the help is enjoying the celebration. Look at that man. He's just a servant, but he looks like he's part of the family." Laughter rippled through the hall. For a moment time froze. Priya looked up. Her eyes found her father's face. Recognition flickered, horror following close behind. She hadn't expected him to be here. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. Rajiv stood still. His hands trembled slightly, though he didn't let a single glass fall. His eyes, calm and heavy, met his daughter's for the first time in years. Then he looked away, bowed his head, and whispered softly to himself, "Congratulations, Beta." He turned to leave. Then, from the back of the hall, a woman's voice rang out, "I know that man." The laughter died instantly. Heads turned. A middle-aged journalist stood, clutching her phone. "That's Rajiv Mehta. I interviewed him years ago. He was featured in Forbes India the man who built Mehta Innovations." The silence that followed was electric. Someone gasped. Another murmured, "What?" All eyes swung toward Rajiv. The band stopped playing. The servers froze in place. The crowd that had mocked him now stared in disbelief. Rohan's face turned pale. His glass slipped from his hand, shattering on the marble floor, the red wine spreading like blood. The whispers began, wasn't he worth crores once? He was a genius in the tech industry. What happened to him? Why is he serving here? Rohan stammered, that can't be true. He's just. But his voice faltered as Rajiv lifted his eyes. The old businessman in him had not died, it merely slept. And now it awakened. He straightened his back. For the first time that night he spoke clearly. Yes, he said softly, but the sound carried through the room. I was an asterisk, Forbes asterisk. I once built something with my hands, my mind, and my heart. Then I lost it, everything except my dignity. His eyes turned to Rohan. Some people measure worth by wealth. I measure it by gratitude. Without waiting for a response, he set down the tray, turned toward the exit, and walked away. Every step echoed in the silence. No one stopped him. No one dared. Even the chandeliers seemed dimmer now. Outside, the night was cold, but Rajiv's heart burned with a strange fire. He looked up at the sky and whispered to himself, "They called me a servant tonight. So be it. I will serve, but not them. I'll serve my purpose." As he walked away from the glittering mansion, leaving behind the laughter that had turned into murmurs of shame, a new chapter began, one written not in sorrow, but in resolve. And somewhere inside, a voice whispered, "Asterisk, the world forgot you, Rajiv Mehta, but you have not forgotten who you are." Asterisk, the morning after the wedding, Mumbai felt heavier than usual. The headlines still buzzed about the lavish Malhotra ceremony, the designer outfits, the million, rupee Daker, the guest list that glittered with celebrities and CEO. But in a quiet corner of the city, inside a small, dimly lit apartment, Rajiv Mehta folded the waiter's uniform he had borrowed and placed it neatly on the bed. His reflection in the mirror looked calm, but his eyes burned with something fierce and ancient. Asterisk resolve. Asterisk he hadn't slept. All night the echo of Rohan's mocking voice had replayed in his mind. Asterisk, he's just a servant. Asterisk, the words had sliced him open, but beneath the wound a strange power stirred, the same quiet determination that once built his empire from scratch. He remembered the day Mehta Innovations was born, a tiny office, a single laptop, and a dream to build sustainable technology for a better India. For years he had lived and breathed that dream until his partner, Arvind Batra, had betrayed him, forging documents, shifting ownership, and leaving Rajiv bankrupt. Everyone abandoned him then, investors, friends, even his daughter, though he didn't blame her. She was young, frightened, manipulated by people who valued money over morality. But now, standing in that small rented room with nothing left to lose, Rajiv decided this would not be his ending. Asterisk, a new beginning asterisk weeks later, Rajiv packed a single suitcase and left Mumbai. He traveled to the western coast, to a small fishing town called Murad Asterisk, where the air smelled of salt and the pace of life slowed to a heartbeat. He rented a shack near the sea and spent his days walking the shores, watching the fishermen mend their nets. The ocean had a strange way of speaking to him, endless, unpredictable, yet full of promise. One morning, as he helped an old fisherman fix a broken motor, he realized something. These men struggled every day against rising fuel costs and failing machinery. Their livelihoods were dying, not because they lacked will, but because they lacked innovation. And suddenly, an idea flickered, small, fragile, but alive. He began sketching designs in an old notebook. Solar, powered fishing motors, saltwater, resistant turbines, energy grids powered by coastal winds, The old Rajiv Mehta, the dreamer, the creator, was returning. Building from the ashes, months, turned into a year. Rajiv's small experiments began attracting attention. He used local scrap metal, trained unemployed youth, and started building prototypes under a modest name, Asterisk asterisk Ocean Spark Technologies asterisk asterisk. The name wasn't chosen at random, it was symbolic. The ocean, vast and patient, had given him peace. The spark represented his rebirth. He wrote emails to a few old contacts, former investors who had once admired his vision. Most ignored him, a few replied with polite rejection. But one, an American investor named asterisk asterisk Grace Patel asterisk asterisk, whom Rajiv had met years ago, flew down personally to see his work. When she saw the functioning solar turbine powering an entire fishing dock, she smiled. Rajiv, you were born for this. You're not rebuilding, you're reinventing. With her support, Rajiv registered the company officially, brought in engineers from universities, and slowly expanded his project into a national initiative. Asterisk Ocean Spark Technologies asterisk began appearing in environmental conferences and renewable energy forums. This time, Rajiv didn't chase fame. He chased asterisk purpose. Asterisk hash 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 asterisk meanwhile, in Mumbai asterisk back in the city, Rohan and Priya's marriage began to show cracks. The Malhotra empire was crumbling. Rohan's arrogance, once charming, had turned destructive. He dismissed advisors, made rash deals, and mocked everyone who dared question him. Priya tried to reason with him. Rohan, you're burning bridges with everyone's suppliers, partners, even your father's old associates. He scoffed. Don't lecture me about business. You wouldn't understand. But behind closed doors, Rohan knew something was wrong. Several foreign investors had suddenly pulled out of joint ventures. Environmental clearances were revoked. Banks tightened credit lines. It was as if an invisible force was slowly choking his empire. And all the while, newspapers began mentioning a new name in the energy sector, asterisk asterisk Ocean Spark Technologies asterisk asterisk. A mysterious company rising fast, gaining government recognition for sustainable innovation. Its founder rarely appeared in public, but business analysts called him a visionary reborn. Rohan ignored it at first, but the name kept appearing in industry reports, conferences, even award shortlists. Then one morning, Priya held up a magazine at the breakfast table. Rohan, she said softly, her hands trembling, you should see this. On the cover of asterisk Forbes India asterisk, in bold letters, were the words, asterisk asterisk, the man who rose from the ashes, Rajiv Mehta of Ocean Spark. Asterisk asterisk, her father's calm smile looked back at her from the glossy page. Rohan's spoon clattered against his plate. The blood drained from his face. Impossible, he muttered. He was ruined, he served drinks at our wedding. Priya's eyes welled with tears. He wasn't serving drinks, Rohan. He was serving his pride for me. For the first time, shame pricked her heart. She remembered the look in her father's eyes that night, the silence, the strength, and now, seeing him reborn, she felt both pride and guilt intertwine. Hash 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 asterisk the rise asterisk over the next 2 years, Ocean Spark became a global name. Rajiv's inventions were adopted by coastal towns across India, saving thousands of livelihoods. The government partnered with his firm for renewable energy development, and global investors hailed him as asterisk India's comeback story. Asterisk at the company's modest inauguration of their Mumbai headquarters, reporters flooded the gates. Rajiv, dressed in a simple navy suit, smiled as cameras flashed. One journalist asked Mr. Mehta, "What drives you after everything you went through?" Rajiv paused before replying. Loss teaches you what truly matters. I built this not to prove anyone wrong, but to prove that purpose outlives pride. He looked out at the skyline of Mumbai, the same city that had buried him once. Now it bowed in acknowledgement. But even as success returned, one thing lingered: the memory of that wedding night, of the laughter, of the broken wine glass. Rajiv never sought revenge, but life, it seemed, was already writing it for him. The phoenix had risen, not to burn others, but to shine so brightly that those who mocked him could no longer stand in the shadows of their own shame. The grand ballroom of the Taj Convention Center glittered under golden chandeliers, much like the one years ago. But this time, Rajiv Mehta didn't stand in a corner holding a tray. He walked down the marble corridor with quiet confidence, dressed in a tailored charcoal suit, his silver hair neatly combed, and a hint of calm pride in his eyes. The occasion was the National Business Excellence Awards the most prestigious event of the year. CEO industrialists and international investors had gathered under one roof to celebrate innovation and leadership. And tonight, one name was on everyone's lips, Rajiv Mehta founder of Ocean Spark Technologies the man who had turned coastal poverty into sustainable prosperity. Rajiv arrived early, not to network, but to observe. He preferred silence to applause, action to words. Still, as he stepped inside, several journalists rushed forward, microphones extended. Mr. Mehta, how does it feel to be the face of India's green revolution? Sir, is it true your technology has reached 23 countries now? Mr. Mehta, do you have any message for young entrepreneurs who have faced failure? He smiled faintly. Yes, he said, failure is not the opposite of success. It's the tuition fee you pay to earn it. The crowd chuckled, inspired. Somewhere near the back, a man in a black tuxedo froze mid-step. His smile vanished, his drink trembling in his hand. It was Rohan Malhotra. The collision Rohan hadn't expected to see him here, not like this asterisk. The last time he had seen Rajiv, the man had been carrying champagne. Now he was the guest of honor, surrounded by reporters, politicians, and top CEO greeting him with respect. For a moment, Rohan's throat went dry. He whispered to his business associate, that can't be him, right, Rajiv Mehta? The associate nodded, awed. You don't read the papers. He's the biggest name in renewables now, partnered with the Ministry of Energy last quarter. Rohan forced a nervous laugh. Right, I just didn't realize. He turned to look for Priya, who sat quietly beside him at their table. Her eyes, however, were not on him. They were on her father. A single tear slipped down her cheek. She whispered, he's finally home. Rohan felt something bitter crawl up his chest, a mixture of shame, envy, and disbelief. The award as the evening went on. Awards were announced for various categories. Ocean Spark Technologies swept through 3, Best Innovation in Renewable Energy Sustainable Business of the Year and finally the most coveted title, Entrepreneur of the Year, Mr. Rajiv Mehta. The hall erupted in applause. Cameras flashed like lightning. Rajiv rose gracefully and made his way to the stage, every step echoing with poetic justice. Rohan's heart pounded as he remembered that fateful night years ago, the mockery, the laughter, the red wine spilling on marble. And now the same man stood beneath a golden spotlight, holding the award that Rohan himself had once dreamt of winning. Rajiv adjusted the microphone. The applause faded into respectful silence. He began slowly, his voice calm but filled with quiet power. When I started my journey, I had everything: money, respect, family. Then I lost it all. People I trusted turned away, and I was left with nothing but my hands and my hope. But sometimes you must be broken to discover what you're truly made of. The audience leaned forward, captivated. I learned that humility isn't weakness. Dignity doesn't require wealth. And every fall, no matter how deep, carries within it the seed of a greater rise. He paused. His eyes searched the crowd, and briefly, they found Rohan and Priya Rohan shifted uncomfortably in his seat. Priya couldn't look away. So tonight, Rajiv continued, this award isn't a symbol of success. It's a reminder that kindness and persistence outlast arrogance and cruelty. Never measure a person's worth by their circumstance, because a servant today might be your savior tomorrow. The hall burst into thunderous applause. Many stood to their feet, clapping and cheering. But at table 14, Rohan Malhotra sat frozen, his hands cold, his pride crumbling like dust. **** the aftermath * after the ceremony. Rajiv stepped outside to the garden terrace for a moment of silence. The night air was cool, and the city lights sparkled like 1,000 memories. Behind him, a hesitant voice spoke. "Papa," he turned. Priya stood there, still in her formal gown, her eyes red but filled with love and regret. Rajiv's expression softened. "Priya," he said quietly, "you came." She took a shaky step forward. "I never stopped thinking about you. I was ashamed. I let them treat you like." He gently raised a hand. "It's over, Beta. The past is just a lesson, not a life sentence." Tears streamed down her face. "You should hate me. I never could," he said. "You're my daughter, and a father's love doesn't expire with status." For a long moment they stood silently, the wound between them slowly healing under the moonlight. **** Rohan's fall begins * from a distance. Rohan watched them, guilt twisting inside him. He had lost the respect of his wife, the admiration of his peers, and now even his business. His company, Malhotra Builders, was sinking, bad loans, pending investigations, and lost partnerships. What he didn't know was that many of those partners had now joined forces with Ocean Spark Technologies ***. In the following weeks, the media began calling Rajiv's rise the servant's revenge, though Rajiv himself never uttered a word of resentment. He didn't need to. The universe had done the speaking for him. ###, the turning point * one evening. A charity gala was held to support underprivileged children's education, an initiative funded by Ocean Spark. Rajiv was attending as the chief guest when he noticed Rohan at the far end of the hall. But this time, Rohan wasn't surrounded by admirers or press. He stood alone, looking thinner, tired, defeated. When Rajiv approached, Rohan stiffened, unsure whether to greet or hide. But Rajiv extended his hand calmly. "Mr. Malhotra," he said, "good to see you." Rohan swallowed hard. "Sir, I owe you an apology." Rajiv nodded slightly. "Not to me, to yourself. Because when you lose humility, you don't just hurt others, you destroy your own peace." Rohan's eyes glistened. "You have every reason to hate me." Rajiv smiled faintly. "Hate is a burden for small minds. I prefer to build." He turned to walk away, but paused and added softly, "Remember, Rohan, the tables always turn. The question is, when they do, will you have the grace to stay seated?" Rohan lowered his head. For the first time in years, he had nothing left to say. Rajiv stepped outside into the Mumbai night once more. The breeze was cool, the sky wide, and his heart light. He looked up at the same stars he once stared at from a broken apartment window and whispered, "Not revenge justice, not pride peace." And as the city lights shimmered across the bay, the servant the world once mocked now stood tall, not because he had risen above others, but because he had risen beyond himself. The morning sun streamed through the wide glass windows of Ocean Spark, Tower *, reflecting off the skyline of Mumbai. From the top floor, the city looked peaceful, almost forgiving. Rajiv Mehta stood before the view with his hands folded behind his back, his silver hair catching the soft light. It had been 4 years since that humiliating wedding night, 4 years since the laughter, the broken wine glass, and the title *. Just a servant. Now, that same man was one of India's most respected entrepreneurs, a symbol of integrity and rebirth. His name was no longer whispered in pity, but spoken with pride. The world had turned full circle, but not every wound heals with success. Some need forgiveness. ###, a visitor in the storm * that afternoon, the receptionist called his office. "Sir, there's a Mr. Rohan Malhotra here to see you." Rajiv looked up from his papers. For a moment, his heart stirred not with anger, but with memory. "Send him in," he said simply. The doors opened. Rohan walked in, no longer the arrogant man from the wedding years ago. His suit was worn, his eyes hollow, his posture hesitant. The confident swagger was gone, replaced by humility, or perhaps defeat. "Mr. Matus," he began, his voice trembling. Rajiv gestured to the chair opposite him. "Sit, Rohan." Rohan obeyed silently. For a long time neither spoke. The only sound was the faint hum of the city below. Finally, Rajiv broke the silence. "What brings you here?" Rohan's lips quivered before he finally said it. "I lost everything." He looked down, ashamed. "The company, the house, even Priya left me. The banks seized everything. My partners abandoned me. I came here because I didn't know where else to go." Rajiv studied him not with vengeance, but with quiet curiosity. The man before him wasn't the same one who had mocked him years ago. This one was broken, humbled. **** The conversation of truth. *** Rohan took a deep breath. "Sir, that night at my wedding, when I insulted you, I thought I was powerful. I thought money made me better than others. But I understand now I wasn't rich, I was empty. You had dignity and I had arrogance." His voice cracked. "I don't expect forgiveness. I just needed to say I'm sorry." Rajiv leaned back in his chair, his expression unreadable. For a long while he said nothing. Then, slowly, he rose and walked toward the window. "Do you remember what you called me that night?" he asked quietly. Rohan nodded miserably. A servant. Rajiv turned to face him. "Good, because I am one. I serve my people, my work, my principles. A true leader serves, a true man serves. You mocked me for it, but that word servant became my strength." Rohan's eyes filled with tears. "I wish I could undo it." Rajiv shook his head gently. "You can't undo the past, Rohan, but you can rewrite your future." He walked to his desk, opened a file, and pushed it toward Rohan. "Ocean Spark is expanding into urban housing. We need someone with experience in real estate management. You can start here, not as a director, but as a consultant. Earn your way up, prove your worth." Rohan stared at the offer, stunned. You're offering me a job." Rajiv smiled faintly. "I'm offering you a chance. Don't mistake it for pity. You'll work hard, you'll answer to others, and you'll learn what service really means." Rohan lowered his head. "I don't deserve your kindness." Rajiv's voice was calm. "You don't need to deserve forgiveness, Rohan. You only need to be willing to grow from it." A daughter's tears later that evening. As Rajiv walked out of the building, he saw Priya waiting near his car. She had changed to simpler clothes, tired eyes, but a gentleness that hadn't been there before. "Papa," she said softly. He smiled. "Priya, I heard you took Rohan in," she said, her voice trembling. "After everything he did to you, after what I did." Rajiv placed a hand on her shoulder. "You were young, Beta. Life teaches us all at different times." Tears welled in her eyes. "I was so ashamed when I saw you at the wedding. I wanted to run to you, but I didn't have the courage. You looked at me with love, even after I turned away. I don't know how to make it right." He looked into her eyes and said softly, "You already have." Priya broke down, her arms wrapping around her father. "I missed you, Papa." He held her close, his voice gentle. "I missed you too, but you're here now. That's enough." The redemption of Rohan months passed. Rohan joined Ocean Spark as promised. At first, many employees whispered behind his back, mocking his fall from grace. But Rajiv never treated him differently. He gave him responsibilities, trusted him with projects, and quietly guided him when he faltered. Rohan worked harder than he ever had before. Slowly, he began earning respect, not because of his name, but because of his integrity. He learned to listen, to empathize, to serve. One day, Rajiv found him helping a group of junior staff install solar panels on a school roof. When Rohan looked up, his face was streaked with sweat but peaceful. "You're not bad at serving after all," Rajiv said with a small smile. Rohan laughed quietly. "Best lesson I ever learned." For the first time, Rajiv felt something that resembled pride, not in success, but in transformation. ****Closure** years later. Ocean spark grew beyond borders, spreading across Asia and Africa. Rajiv retired quietly, handing the reins to a new generation of leaders. Rohan continued working with the company, dedicating his time to building sustainable housing for the poor. Priya opened a foundation in her mother's name, supporting education for underprivileged children. On the day of Rajiv's retirement, the company hosted a small celebration. Employees shared stories, journalists asked questions, and friends congratulated him. As the evening came to an end, Rohan and Priya stood beside him on stage. Rohan raised a toast, his voice firm yet emotional. To the man who taught us that forgiveness is the greatest form of victory, to the servant who became our master in wisdom, Mr. Rajiv Mehta. The audience stood in applause. Rajiv smiled, humbled. He took the microphone one last time and said, "I began this journey with humiliation, but I end it with gratitude. Life has a strange way of teaching. It strips us down so we can rebuild ourselves better. I was called a servant once, and I am proud of it, because to serve others with love, honesty, and humility is the greatest honor a man can have." The hall erupted with applause. Epilogue *. That night, Rajiv walked alone along the beach, near his old home in Murad. The sea whispered softly, the waves glimmering beneath the moonlight. He remembered the faces, the laughter, the betrayal, the pain, and then the healing that followed. He realized that life's sweetest revenge wasn't wealth or triumph. It was peace. He looked up at the stars and smiled. Sometimes, he murmured, life makes you a servant only to teach you how to lead. And with that, Rajiv Mehta, the man once forgotten, once humiliated, finally found what he had been seeking all along, not victory, but *forgiveness.